As of 2025, a single OSHA Hazard Communication standard violation carries a financial penalty exceeding $16,000. Many safety managers fail audits not because they ignore the rules, but because of a single word at the end of a regulatory question, except. Missing these specific carve-outs can leave a facility vulnerable, especially as the 2024 updates to the Hazard Communication Standard shift the focus from a worker's right to know to their right to understand. To find the boundaries of the law, you must first secure the absolute mandates. OSHA's Hazard Communication Standard relies on 5 non-negotiable pillars. Missing one means instant noncompliance. Pillar 1, the written plan, must be site-specific and accessible every shift. Pillar 2, the chemical inventory, lists every hazardous substance on site, cross-referenced to your safety data sheets. Pillar 3 covers GHS standardized labels. Every shipped and secondary container requires a product identifier, signal word, hazard statements, pictograms, precautionary statements, and supplier info. Pillar 4 is the safety data sheet library. Workers need immediate access to the 16-section GHS format for every chemical in their area. Pillar 5 is employee training. This is required at initial hire, and again whenever a new chemical hazard is introduced to the workspace. This training must ensure workers can interpret GHS labels, navigate the SDS, and identify the specific exposure risks they face daily. Without these 5 pillars functioning as a unified system, chemical use on the floor becomes a significant legal liability. Even a facility with all 5 pillars can fail an audit if the safety manager doesn't understand the nuance of the clipboard. For example, HazCom doesn't require retraining just because a cleaner's brand changed. If the chemical hazards are identical to the previous product, existing training remains valid. The immediate use exemption for secondary containers is frequently cited. A container avoids labeling only if transferred and used by the same employee within the same work shift. Hand it to a coworker or leave it for the next shift, and labeling becomes mandatory. There is also no exception for old material safety data sheets. These are now obsolete. Possessing an MSDS instead of the updated 16-section SDS is a direct violation. Finally, HazCom governs hazard communication, not the specific industrial hygiene air sampling required to determine permissible exposure limits. Those fall under different substance-specific standards. Distinguishing between these requirements allows a facility to focus resources on actual compliance, while closing the loopholes that lead to fines. Test your understanding against these 3 common audit scenarios. Question 1. HazCom acquires all of the following, except. While many facilities perform annual refreshers, OSHA actually only mandates training at initial hire or when hazards change. Question 2. Secondary containers must have GHS labels, except. This only applies during that strict immediate use window, same worker, same shift. Question 3. A 16-section SDS must be available, except. In this case, there is no exception. Digital or physical, that document must be accessible to workers during their shift. This week, audit your facility's secondary containers. It remains the most abused and cited exemption in the standard. Understanding the pillars prevents violations, but mastering the exceptions defines a safety professional. Like, share, and subscribe to HSE Study for more chemical safety breakdowns.